Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe we'll switch it over one day and get our own.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool to see. But we'll talk about it, man. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Another Week in the Books. Here we are in book 2, chapter 13, just moving along. Kind of feels, I don't know, finding my footing a little bit compared to
Yeah,
what
yeah,
it
yeah.
was when we first started.
Facts.
When Mo, chucked the deuces on episode 100 or chapter 100 of book 1, and here we are on book 2. We've been 13 in, and starting to just find the footing. It's funny because I've been recording with Spike at least once a week for the past year and some change, maybe because of good
Yeah.
earners.
Yep.
But this is different, the one-on-one thing. But it feels like it's finally all kind of getting an idea of what this is. But it's still got, I'm going to say, another 10 to 15 episodes to really
Yeah, we still
be in the pocket.
getting the flavor palette right. You know what I'm saying? Making sure, just because coming off from how deep Mo and I used to get into conversation and different things, and just the difference in personality, that was really that was the main ingredient
Yeah, that
of
was the draw.
the book 1. And now we're still looking for that main ingredient. Like the
Yeah.
food's still good, but we need that secret sauce still. It's just like learning each other more. But I'm still enjoying doing this and having fun. I'm getting good feedback.
100%.
I was talking to I went
100%.
home over the holidays, and I was talking to Scoops, my homie. He was talking about one of the episodes where I told him I was talking about my family was ratchet, and he was just laughing at it. And it was so funny how it played out. It wasn't that he didn't believe me, but he was just laughing at it. So we pulled up on my cousin, a couple of my cousins later on that night after he had said that. And boy, she didn't disappoint. Like, she did not disappoint.
On cue, huh?
On cue. And to that, on cue, the next day he called me. He said, "Boy, you weren't lying when you said that on there about your cousin."
Man, don't act like I ain't tell you when I told you.
Yeah, I said, I told you. You thought I was exaggerating. Like, nah, nigga, these people is crazy.
No
It's
doubt, man.
How was your holidays? Did you enjoy? You go home?
Yeah, man. Went back to Cincinnati, man. Had a great time. Great time with family, man. So my cousin hosted. My cousin and aunt hosted Thanksgiving this year, and it was good, man. A lot of my cousins came, which you realize as you get older, your first cousins, a family, you love them, but you really only see them maybe a couple times a year, unless you have one of those like unique bonds. So I enjoy utilizing that time, man, and really just chopping it up, man. Just seeing what's going on in your life, man. Y'all got kids and stuff now. Like what's the word? Like I see all the kids, like so all the younger generation, what we used to be. My cousin's kids and stuff like that. I'm like, man, when you look at some kids, I'm like, man, I don't even know this one name yet, because you know what I mean. There's so many that just lets you know, all right, man, let me lock in and see what's going on, and really just be a little bit more proactive about that and know who this new generation is and the whole nine. But it was good to see everybody there. The aunts was there. A couple people missing, but that happens. But
that's funny.
I'm gonna ask you about yours, but I noticed one thing.
Yep.
Now that I've been going for about 6-7 months, for the first time I reached the point, because I was back home for 5 days, from Wednesday to Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, I'm ready to, like, by Sunday, I was like, I'm ready to go home. I'm ready to get back in my own space. And that's the first time that's happened. And it's different because it'd be different if I had my own place in Cincinnati.
Right.
But, you in somebody else's space the whole time and all night. Like, it's just like, all right, I'm ready to get back to my environment.
Facts. No, that's 100% true. Like that.
Yeah, man, how was yours?
It was good, man. Got to hang out with the family and chill. It's funny what you said about the younger generations. Like, I guess it's the age that we are, because we was having the same conversation. Me and my first cousin, like your first cousin, your mom's sister that you grow up with. We came up with the idea of planning like a family reunion, but we're not gonna let the old folks in on it. Like, it got to be us or younger. That way it keep going. It keep going once we get old or whatever. It don't die out because they're not interested in it. So we're going to work with the younger cousins, like you said, and get their ideas and what they want to do. That way they make sure that they still invested and keep it going once we get old and stuff like that. But it was just like what you were saying, man. Once you get this age, and not to be morbid, but you start staring mortality in the face. Like, you looking at your moms ain't as young as she used to be. Aunties they got a little older, moving a little slower. And you're like, damn, bro, I remember running around this house and y'all was on 10, and like, it was just different. But now you at an age where like you sitting at the you sitting at the adult table, you making the alcohol runs, you know what I'm saying? You doing all of those things, and it's just like, golly, you feel like it
Yeah.
went so quickly, but you know, you still want to savor the rest of the time that you have with it. So I was just making sure that I did that, and I actually set something up that I'm excited about when I go back home for Christmas. My uncle, I don't know if it's great uncle or uncle, but he's the last, like, he's the last living one of my grandma and her three brothers or whatever it may be. But he has a book of our family history, like that goes all the way back, like my great grandma, her mom and dad. And I can set up some time when I go back to be able to go take a look at that book and read it and learn the names of the people. Because I was thinking about it, I don't even we've gotten to the point now in the age where I knew I was able to be around my great grandma,
Yeah.
but I didn't know, like, I don't know her mom's name or their story or nothing like that. And I was asking my mom, and she was like, "Shit, I don't know either," because she had never met her. So
Right.
like that was just something that it was crazy. It was mind boggling to me. Like, damn, so we like 3 generations from like my grandmama being the only person that people know. They don't even know my great grandmama that I knew. So I just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure I got the ball rolling on knowing those people, the names, figuring out those stories. So I'm gonna take that on this year. That's gonna be one of my things for 2025, just learning more about my family.
Nah, man, that's dope. And get that list ready because you know we're gonna be talking about it. And it goes
Facts.
right into the conversation we just had. What was that? Last episode chapter 12, when we talked about Beanie Siegel. Like
Yep.
how if you're not there, if the people in that generation, once they move on or once they start talking about something else, everything you did for the most part, as far as the memory of it, it can be gone. You know what I mean? And I know, like you said, not to be morbid, it sounds that way, but I think it's real dope that you take the time to remember because that stuff matters, man. And I know it's all gonna happen. Like it's hard to think about it because we in this time now, but like I said, I remember being young and certain people like dying, celebrities dying. I'm like, I don't get it. Like, what's the big
Right.
deal?
Like, okay.
You know what I mean? And be like, what? You don't know who this? Like, so it is what it is. But I'm glad that you had a good time, man. What you do for your birthday? I know we talked about it already, but just to let the people know,
Look,
how was your birthday?
I ain't doing nothing special. Just went out with the family, got some food, chilled. That was just good to be around people. I went out on the weekend, went up makeshift, name drop. Y'all go when y'all go to Nashville, stop at makeshift. It's like the Bing for me. I was thinking about it when I was in the
That's what I'm talking
it
about.
makes it, that's like the Bing for me. So we stopped there for a little bit, got some drinks, and chill with a couple people that I, don't get to chill with all the time, and just relaxed pretty much. That was it, pretty much it.
You drive every time, right? That's a 3-hour. 3-hour drive.
Sometimes I fly. No, most of the times I fly.
Oh, for
This
real?
time
I know
I
you
did
hate
something
driving, but
yeah, I hate driving. But most of the time I do fly. It's like a quick little 30-minute flight, but they were busting heads. So I decided to try something new. They got this little luxury bus line. And they serve food and all of that shit, and you get just seat by yourself, warm towel. Like they really like juice it up, but it's
so
still
it's real upscale.
yeah, it's yeah, like the tickets was $150 each way. So like it
Okay.
ain't mega bus, but it's cool. Like you just get to sit there and chill. They got Wi-Fi, run a couple shows, listen to a couple podcasts, and then you're there. It ain't like it ain't the Greyhound or nothing like
I'm
that.
about
Where
to
you
say the
got
worst thing about taking a bus is those stops.
yeah,
Those
don't
are
stop, straight through.
Okay, straight
They
shot.
go straight through. Ain't no
That
stops.
ain't bad.
Yeah, it's cool. You ain't got to worry about driving. They take off on time, 4 hours, boom, you there. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised because that was the first time that I did that. That was the first time that I did it, and I was pleasantly surprised. I may do it again for Christmas, but yeah, that shit was hassle free. Like what I like more about that from going to the airport is there's no security. Like I ain't got to get nowhere 2 hours early. I can pull up literally 15 minutes for boarding time. You get 2 bags limit. You throw your bags under their backpack with your iPad, your computer in there. Boom, you roll. Even
I ain't
like
mad at that.
yeah, so that was cool.
I would have been on the road, but I ain't mad at it.
I hate driving.
Yeah, man, that's a difference between me and you, man. Definitely. But nah, man, that's good to hear, man. Glad to hear that you brought in another year. I'm looking forward as the year winds down and getting ready for 2025. I know we'll be talking about some things that we want to get done. I want to accomplish those goals and things of that nature. Probably take some time to revisit probably our intro episode or chapter 1 of this book because I know we talked about some goals. Just kind of want to revisit that and where we are with them. I've been locked in with the workouts, man.
I need to catch up, bro. I feel like I'm getting fatter.
Nah,
it's
I'm
hard to do it
in.
this time of year, bro. Like,
Once
what's
you
motivating?
start,
Like, what is it like? What is it that's motivating you? I know we said we want to do it, but like on a daily basis, like,
oh yeah,
what are you telling yourself?
looking in the mirror, being a fat nigga. That's one. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? That's what you do. I don't carry it well, personally.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I personally don't carry it well. I look crazy. And I was talking to my
Mhm.
mom about this, man. My dad's side of the family, man, we that side doesn't carry weight well, and it's easy for us to gain it. And
Yeah.
you can let yourself go real quick.
Yeah.
And that's when knowing that genetically, like I want to make sure I stay on top of it. I had said when I in the process of moving cities the whole nine, I had stepped on the scale and I was the heaviest I've been in my life. And that was the time I was, oh no, it's time to change this. And after you do it for about 2 weeks, because what was happening, I have a workout plan. I go 6 days a week to the gym.
You go to the gym 6 days a week?
Yeah, 6 days a week.
Oh, you're a beast.
Yeah, I've been doing that.
What is that? Is that in the morning, like before you start working, or in the afternoon, or evening?
In the morning. I try to go in the morning. Sometimes if I'm working from home, it might be around lunchtime. I try to avoid evening at all costs. But I do like getting up early. Something about starting your day, just being active. But what was happening, just to keep it a buck, I would have my workout plan and I go the first day, second day, but I skip the third day. They'd be like, oh, snap. So there were like 3 weeks in a row where I didn't complete my week. I would go for 1 or 2 days, but I didn't complete it. And then one day I was just like, you know what? Hit 6 days in a row. And then now you want a little bit of a roll. Then you start that second week. Once you get midway through the second week, all right, cool. If I knock out the rest of this week, I'm going to be good. And I was intentional about it. Like it was one of those things like I'm going to the gym. And then once I'm finished week 2, man, it feels weird not going. Like I feel like you feel yourself getting stronger. Like even just doing push-ups.
Yeah.
Like how many push-ups I can knock out right now compared to when I was trying to do push-ups without lifting or going to the gym and just kind of you just see the results and you start looking different. Even if you don't weigh yourself, you see your body kind of changing. So I'm like, all right, we on the right track.
You have a workout plan? Or do you just go do? Okay,
where'd you get a workout plan?
Did somebody?
So there used to be this program I was on like 10 so years ago. I forget, Jim Stepani might be his name. I should look it up. But he had 2 workouts. One called Shortcut to Size, the other one Shortcut to Shred. And I'm on the Shortcut to Shred because
Are you trying to get jacked?
No. Oh. That's size. That's adding on all that bulk. I'm trying to slim down.
Got it.
And kind of just like lean out. Not super lean, but enough to where it's straight. Ideally, I like to be around like 200. You know what I mean? So I might get down to 190 and then add that back up. But yeah, that's just accountability. We talk about that, man. Go ahead.
I think you may be taller than me, which is crazy that we don't know that. I'm about one. Ideally would like to be like 180, and between 180 and 185.
Yeah, that's what it should be. That's what 200 is too heavy for real. I should be around 185.
Yeah, that's what I need
ideally,
to get to. But I think that's like losing at least 25 for me. So let me ask you this:
one of my biggest fears as a grown man is getting lifted off my feet. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just once you off your feet, it's over. It's over.
Hey, that's true.
And I'm always aware of that. Like as long as I get a nigga up off me strength.
Facts.
As long as I gotta get a nigga up off me strength, I'll be good.
Yeah, that's true. If
there's ever a scenario where I gotta get a nigga up off me, man. That's all I care about. Anything else?
That's the most important thing. Let me ask you with the record, because I get Monday, for example, for me, like why it's hard for me to go consecutively. I wake up at 6:30 because I got to commute to work. All right.
Yeah.
So I go 6:30, my commute an hour and a half. So I get there at 8. I leave there at 5. Hour and a half commute back. So I get here at 6:30. I start recording at 7. And then I'll record from 7 until maybe 9. And then Tuesday it's the same thing, but it's recording from 9 until maybe 11. Well, I'm having time. I don't know where to fit it in at. And then once you miss those 2 days, it's like, well, fuck it,
Nah.
And then that's how I get out of it.
As soon as you said that, the first thing that told me?
What's that? I got to get
Those
up
are
early.
push-ups. Those are push-ups and sit-up days.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Those are push-ups and sit-up days. Like, set a number in your head and say, I'm gonna do this many push-ups. Or I know some people, man, my boy back when we was in high school or summer going into freshman year, I remember because he used to be chubby. And then freshman year came in, I'm like, yo, what you was doing? He said every day during the summer when I was watching TV, every commercial break, I was doing push-ups. Every commercial break, I was doing push-ups there. So whatever number you set, just make sure you do that by the time you know, when I do my push-ups, I do sit-ups with them. Like, so I do my push-ups and I knock out my sit-ups, whatever number that is for the day. Boom, that's it. So you can't go nowhere, but you're still doing something, especially if you're just eating clean.
Yeah.
Or as clean as possible. So as long as you're active, man, like just at our age, moving our body is just important.
Facts.
I really want to get in the stretch. I got to stretch. Like, that's the one thing I really got to.
I think I'm going to start doing yoga. That's going to be one of my things for 2025, yoga. I'm going to give me a yoga class, on like Saturday morning or something like that.
Yeah, man. But yeah, so those 2 days are already blocked off. Because I go 6 days a week, that's just a bitch. It ain't fun. So if I couldn't, like if I couldn't schedule wise, I just have to, all right, 3 days. 3 days is better than none. 4 days is better than none. 2 days is better than none. You know what I mean? Still find a way to get what you need done.
Yeah, that's facts.
Plenty of ways.
What you use, Planet Fitness?
Gym? Nah, LA Fitness.
Oh, you the bougie one. You went the bougie one with the
Nah, Lifetime Fitness, a bougie one.
Lifetime,
they're like 180 a month.
God damn.
Yeah, they got everything. Like, if you want to put your membership on hold, they charge you $20 a month.
That's insane.
But they got everything up there. And it's if I was paying $180 a month, you better believe I'll be in the gym every single day.
Oh, facts. Like, I'd have to take working out way more serious if I'm paying $180 a month. Like, that ain't even an option for me right now. Like, the $20, the $10, $15 I play at Planet Fitness, and they've been stealing money from me forever. I ain't been that shit. They've been just taking my money. Yeah, I'm making donations to their business at this point.
Yeah, man. You're gonna get on it though, man. It's gonna be all good. It's that time of the year, like you said. Just
absolutely. Just gotta make sure we stay disciplined and get into it.
Absolutely, man. But once you get in there, once you hit that 2-week mark, it's gonna be all right. That's part of my day now. You're gonna feel crazy if you don't go to the gym.
That's what my goal is before the end of this year out. What we missed a week, so we got some pop culture stuff that we missed. A couple other things we'll throw in the sauce, and then we'll end it on a what your life like scenario. But first and foremost, we missed this, Rich, and this was after you was on deck. But the whole Drake suing Kendrick dropping UMG. Well, excuse me, suing UMG, you're right. But it looked like, and the perception is from people that he's suing Kendrick.
Yeah.
You're a hip hop head, man. You blessed us on deck, get to share your opinion sometimes. I wanted to know what you thought about this. I'm sure Mo's gonna enjoy this part.
The actual
petition. The petition, how the petition makes him look.
Oh, yes.
What your advice would have been if you was his man's and he came to you and was like, I'm thinking about doing this, like what would Rich have told him? Like the whole nine.
Nah, bro, you're not. First of all, Drake will never be my man's. But listen, I say it all the time, man. I'm not gonna sit here in front. Like, Drake has a lot of music that I enjoy. He hasn't. It was funny because you were talking about on deck, and AV just, God bless him, man, and his loyalty, because he did not want to admit that Drake's beginning half of his career, I think you had the perfect cutoff from Scorpion on.
Yeah,
like, it just hasn't been the same, and it doesn't interest me, and that's cool. It interests somebody. Like, I'm not obviously #1 streamed, the whole nine, man. So he has a fan base. I'm not a part of that anymore as far as his music being made for me. If he makes his hits and his bangers, cool, I'm gonna listen to them. But he doesn't excite me in the same way that he did at the beginning of his career. I like to preface that because this looks awful. This looks terrible. Like, I don't know what he thought, and he doesn't care. And I think that's probably the biggest thing. So as far as what he thought, but he doesn't care. And it's everything that Kendrick, I guess what I can't wrap my mind around is you're doing everything that Kendrick accused you of. And it's almost like you're too oblivious to see it.
You're not like us.
Yeah, you're not like us. And that's why it's an anthem. Now, I understand, because I've been seeing a couple different, I guess, stories going around about why he's doing this. And it's not a lawsuit, so it's a petition. Pretty much it's going to be fact finding, right? They just want to prove he's pretty much claiming that UMG was involved in payola, pumping up the numbers for Not Like Us, in an attempt to diminish his brand or diminish his likability. I forget the exact term he used. And that's an important part of it because he has a deal that's being negotiated with UMG, a re-up. And I've heard for up to $600 million. Right? He's got one project left, if I'm not mistaken. The next one that they've been talking about could be worth $600 million. Obviously, if your streams take a hit or your popularity takes a hit, UMG can come to the table and say, well, maybe not the 6. We'll do something else or re-up on this 4. And Drake's like, nah, y'all owe me my money. And he's also accusing them of putting out Not Like Us because Kendrick signed to them as well without, even though he was accused of pedophilia. And they pretty much said, well, nigga, sue Kendrick, not us.
Yeah. We ain't make him say that. So that's on y'all.
Yeah, I think he's taking the loss hard, man. Not even think, he is taking the loss hard, and that's cool. But you can't do this, man. I sent you the first thing I thought of, and I sent it to you, Spike Lou. We always talk about Hov got a line for everything, man. I thought of Volume 1, Streets is Watching. Type to start a beef, then run to the cops. He was begging. When you look at this beef retroactively, it's so funny because he was begging Kendrick to respond. You up there trying to think of quintuple entendres and shit. Now look at you. Now
you calling your lawyers.
Yeah, like that's just kind of wild. Like it's not a good look, regardless of why he's doing it. I don't care what benefit it has to him, his pockets, the whole nine. You have to understand this makes you look crazy.
Yeah. One of the things, it's a slippery slope for me with ego. Like it can be a thing that turns me off, and that can be a thing that also, like, when people are passionate about what they do and they have an ego because they know they're good, versus when people have egos thinking that you owe them something. So that, like, it's one of those, like, I really, like, it really bothers me. Ego, like, when people think you owe them something, that bothers me. That gets under my skin. However, I'm highly respectful, again, of people like, nigga, I'm good and I know I'm good. Like, you ain't gonna tell me I'm not good. But I think Drake falls in the latter of what I'm saying here is, like, you think that people, you deserved something, like you're owed something from this game. And that's the biggest thing for me that turns me off of it. Like, I was listening to Bo Money today, and he was talking to, I don't know which one of the niggas it is, Deezus and Mero, the light-skinned nigga. Is that Mero or Deezus? I don't know.
I be forgetting too, man.
Yeah, I have no idea which one it is.
I think that's Mero.
Yeah. But he was talking to him, and he was like, one of the things that stands out, I want to know, this both thought, and I thought it was really good. He was like, bro, you don't get to be number one forever, bro. Like just it's over, dude. Like, it may be a hard pill to swallow, but you just have to accept something. Like, no one, you've had a great run, bro. Like, you could have let this shit go. And I ain't saying he shouldn't sue him, because that's another business thing. That's fine. But just the way that you're taking this, like, you could have let this go and still legacy been intact, but now you just looking funnier and funnier because of ego. And not ego in the sense of I'm great, but just ego in the sense of Training Day. What's my man name?
Lonzo.
Yeah, like Lonzo. This is like him being out in front of the Gardens. Oh, y'all niggas turning on me? Like that. This is what he doing right now, and everybody looking at him like, bro, come on, man. Like, get out.
It looks crazy. It's funny because shout out to Portia. She was on chapter 11. We're gonna have Portia back on real soon as well. But she had made a post talking about, like, she sees Drake's career, in a sense, maybe not his career. I don't want to misquote her because I'm not looking at it directly. Maybe not his career, but his perception is going to start turning in the same way people start looking at Meek Mill. And just now, you just in this, you in this permanent space of just kind of corny.
Yep,
like you just in this space now. To the people that actually care. Obviously, Drake's gonna have. He's a super duper megastar. He's going to have a fan base. But
like Meek still got a fan base. But
Meek still got a fan base. All of that.
That comparison is perfect. Now it's more people, in my opinion, to think about the fries in the lap at the pool, or the nigga falling down the steps in the snow, than or the picture where everybody looking at him crazy. Like, it's more people to think about those things than they do dream chasers, or like.
And the reason why, and you asked me at the beginning, what if I was in Drake's camp, what would I be telling him? Exactly what I told you and Maurice at the very beginning of this. At the very beginning of this. As soon as Meet the Grams and Not Like Us came out that weekend, the first thing I said was Drake need to get low. He had talked about maybe a year ago, talked about he was going to, you know, he had health issues and that he was going to be missing. He never got missing because the beef came up a few months after that. Drake should have got low and he should have came back outside with some heat. Nigga, you make another hotline bling and now people is going to forgive you. You weren't involved. Think of all the corny moments that have happened from the time the beef started to now. You could have erased all that just by disappearing. Sometimes the absence, and they talked about this as well. I forget where I saw this directly. But Denzel talks about it as well. He had a quote on the red carpet once, just about how the absence sometimes lets the people want you. Like Drake, or maybe, was it y'all? Was it AB? Who was saying this recently? About just how Kendrick has been in a form where he only drops a certain amount of time. Maybe it was Van on High Alert.
AB did say that.
AB, maybe it was
AB. He did say that.
And Drake had just started being around. Like Drake being around is not a big deal anymore, and that's kind of crazy for him being a super duper star that he is. But nobody cares anymore. So you corny to us and you doing corny things. We get to see more of you. You know, if you're away, even if you do corny things, nobody get to see you.
It's so much more room for error. Like the more exposure you have, like it's just so much more room for error. And I think that speaks to like what we talk about is like not wanting to do the content, the cringe content that we say we hate, but Mo tell us like you should be doing it. Like there's so much more room for error in like just exposing yourself on a daily. But I was talking to my homeboy Tuesday, and he was like, "Bro, you need to get on the TikTok and start doing the Spike Blue." I was like, "Bro, like I get it. You right.
Yeah,
you are right in what you're saying, is what I was telling him. But I just like there's so much more room for error. But
can't do it like that. Got to do it my way. If I'm gonna do it, I got to do it my way, and I gotta figure out what that is. I know that sounds crazy. I know that kind of contradicts what we talk about here as far as getting up, being active, and just doing it, taking those next steps. We had a popular episode not too long ago. It was not always about you, but if I am pouring myself out, I want it to be in a way that I'm comfortable with as well, not on some this is what everybody else doing. That's crazy. I don't like that. I don't do that anyway. I've never been one to just this is what's hot right now. Let me just do that. Like I actually will purposely go the other way just to make sure it's clear that I'm not trying to be like the rest of these niggas.
Facts. And I want to enjoy it. If I'm like to wrap it up in Drake's point, like it don't seem like he's enjoying this, which is I think is part of the thing for the lawsuit. It's like I've been working like a slave. Like people been calling the deal that he signed a slave deal. Yeah, you got 500 million, but it's a slave deal. You on tour every month. Like you got an album coming out fucking. You've done a dance album, a boom bap album, a pop album. Like you've done all of these things in the span of like 2 years. Like that's a lot of work, and it don't seem like he enjoys it. And when I talked about the split in his career, being at Scorpion and Views, from Views forward, it seemed like all of that shit was fun to him. Post Views going to Scorpion, it was like, okay, I'm doing my job now. And that like that, I don't ever want to be in that space, especially with this, where it's feeling like, okay, I'm doing a job. I always want to enjoy it. Like everything that I do from a content perspective, long form podcast, like I enjoy it. I enjoy the people that I talk to. I enjoy what we talk about, with the exception of some movies that I do with frames. But on the moment, but even then, if I don't enjoy the movie, I enjoy the reaction that we all have from like me liking it and them not, or them liking it and me not. Like those things are fun. Like the conversation, it don't seem like he's having fun, and I want to make sure that I never get to that place in this field. Like that's a work thing. That's a thing that you go do when you maybe clock in from 9 to 5. That ain't an entrepreneur thing. Like, because I think the pivotal thing in entrepreneurship, starting your own business, doing what we do, like you gotta enjoy that shit, or else it's just gonna feel like or else you may as well just go get a job. Like one of the things about what we do. And like if you're an entrepreneur and you got your own business, like sometimes the money is better in the corporate world. You're just not going to enjoy it. Like you're just going to be doing shit for other people that you don't like doing. One of the biggest life hacks with being an entrepreneur, being in content like we are, is like I get to do this shit and I get money from it. Now I may not be a millionaire from it, but I do make money from it and I enjoy doing it and making money from it, and it's building on that versus this shit feels like a job. I got to record today. I got to talk to these motherfuckers I don't like. That's how I feel when I'm going to an office. I don't feel like that when I'm doing this, and I want to keep it that way.
Nah, that's dope. It's funny. We can move on. I know you sent me something that we could talk about, and I sent you one to keep it moving. But you know what I think comes with part of that is just being too famous.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because you gotta isolate yourself. You gotta disconnect. And if you don't keep the right people around you, that's gonna keep you grounded, your day ones, the whole nine. Like that's why I can respect LeBron. That's why I can respect like Hove. Because it's not just like the crew. It's like these are the people that are hired to do they're with me every single day. This is my team. Like when you see me, you're gonna see them. You know what I mean? And I just think that a lot of that can be. I'll never forget hearing a story about like Eddie Murphy when they talked about in the 80s. He just got too famous. And when you get too famous like that, you might lose some of your fastball because you're not experiencing the things that make life funny. You know, and part of being funny, as we know, is being relatable and being able to do things like you can be at a CVS and see some random shit and just think like, oh, that's a comedian brain go work and see that and turn that into a joke. Well, shit, if you're too famous to go to CVS,
and how you
how you relating and even knowing what's going on out there in the world, you chilling in a mansion.
That's why them niggas gotta have writers. Like that's why they when they get to Kevin Hart and Chris Rock and his stage, they gotta have writers. Like you can even do it like take it in the podcast. Is the reason that a Joe Budden podcast is so popular because Joe is amazing what he does, but he also has people there that are not famous. So he gets to play off of Ish and Ice and even Mel Ford. Like those people are still out every day. Like some people may notice them and they are like popular, but they're not famous. Yeah. So he still gets that experience with being Joe Budden and gets the comments on things of being an everyday person, even though I'm Joe Budden. I think that's one of the that's one of his secret ingredients there. So
that's a great point. That's a great point, man. Let's talk about Steve Harvey, man.
Steve Harvey. You want to play it? Hold on, let me pull it up and play it here. Because this is gonna be interesting coming from two single men. I want a married person's perspective on this, and I've had kind of conversations like this with married homeboys. And I'll be honest with you, this is kind of the reason why I'm not in a relationship just to what he said, because I just don't see myself doing this, but I'm gonna play the clip.
I'm weak already, man. It's some silly shit. See, he was dead ass serious. He meant that.
He did.
Hold on, I actually might have it right here.
You got yours. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I got you.
I got it now.
Yeah, I got you.
Keep your damn mouth shut. Just shut up. Don't say nothing. Best don't say nothing. There ain't no trying to fix. That way you ain't got to fix. What if you're right? What?
What?
You actually said you're right. When? Sometimes. What? Boy, your dumb ass ain't gonna make 15. I can tell you that right now.
So if y'all didn't hear the audio well, it's Steve Harvey talking about how to have a successful marriage. And what he's telling is two ladies on a panel, one man, black man, a white lady, another black woman. And what Steve Harvey is saying is if you want to have a healthy, happy marriage / relationship, is you as the man just need to shut up sometimes. And the guy asked him, and he said, okay, well, what if you right though? And Steve was just taken aback, like, nigga, what do that got to do with what I'm talking about? Like that's literally how he came at him. He was like, bro, like that, essentially saying that don't even matter. Now, some of the comments that I was seeing and what I thought would be an interesting conversation, Rich, is that seems to be the sentiment that you get from most married men. And I wonder, is that the reason that you have more single people than you've ever had in any period in life right now? Like most people ain't fucking with relationships. And it's because like you can't tell me that you're in a happy relationship when you feel like you got to shut up to appease your significant other. Like if we can't communicate on a level where like I'm not being disrespectful, you're not being disrespectful, but we can both get our points off and we can concede at we just disagree on this versus I just need to be quiet. I ain't interested in that in the slightest.
Yeah.
But the overwhelming opinion out there is that's how you should be. So as a single man, I'm like, nope, I'm good. What say you?
I think this is a good mix of truth being in the joke.
Yeah.
Obviously, Steve was being facetious, yet he was being very serious as well.
Facts.
One of the biggest things that I saw online was, all right, I'm gonna listen to the dude that's had multiple failed marriages. I think that's why some people took offense to what he was saying. Or that could be a reason as to how he learned how to stay married, because I think in life, any relationship, not just romantically or marriages, I think you just learn how to pick your battles. If it's something you have to do, let's say business-wise, right? Let's say you and I are working on this and we at chapter 98. At that point, it's going to be like, all right, man, I just kind of know what it is. I don't know, maybe you and I, because our personalities are so similar.
Right.
But whoever you work with, you're just going to reach a point where, you know what, this ain't that deep to me. You got this one. I ain't even tripping. And I don't know if you would look at that as I can't do this podcast anymore because I'm not being able to speak my mind. It's just like, nah, this battle in particular on this day doesn't mean enough to me to slow down emotion. It's really got to mean something to convict me. And I think that's a lot of people look at it where if I can't sleep at night, if I got to look at myself in the mirror and I don't like what I'm looking at, then that's something I got to address. But if it's not that, if it ain't that deep, I think you reach a point, especially in marriage, and this is coming from someone who's not married, as you said, a single man. I think it comes to like, you know what? I ain't got the time for that shit. I ain't arguing about the stupid shit today. You got it. Whatever. I think you just hit that point when you with somebody for so long. You 15, 20 years in the game. Like, what the fuck, man? Whatever, man. I don't care nothing about what you're talking about. So it's interesting.
Does that to you?
I was
hearing that. Like, do you know a lot of married? Like, do you know a lot of married people? I know your man Phil married. Like, do you know?
I know some married people.
What would you consider like the overwhelming feedback? Do they like being married? Are they happy?
Don't get married.
That's what they tell you. That's the overwhelming.
Not all of them. Not all of them.
Most of them. I don't want to throw nobody under the bus. I mean,
some of them say don't get married. Yeah, no, people, no. I know some good happy marriages, like some happy marriages. But even happy marriages, the one thing anybody that's married will tell you, especially if it's successful, they'll tell you about the work that they put into it.
Yes,
right.
That's what I always.
And I think, and that's the work you put into it, and even the people that I hear don't get married from, it's not because of that. It kind of ties into my main point, which is what you asked originally. Does this contribute to Steve Harvey's? Does that mindset contribute to people being single? I think it really contributes to the freedom that you have, right? You have I talked about it before, volume 3, Hova's interlude, man. He's got a bar, Jay got a bar where he says, ladies, I love you, but I love my freedom more. You know, we all know the infamous, our times together is our time together, our times apart are times apart. I think a lot of people are cool with getting the companionship they want when they need it, and just having my time for me any other time. And until that stops, then you're going to be able to do what you want. Because whatever I need from an intimate level or whatever the case is, or if I just want to hang and go to the movies with someone, or how you come through after and we do whatever, you know, adult activity, or I need a date to this event or whatever, I can do that on my time. You can pick it up and put it down. And a lot of people are comfortable with that.
I can do that
without it works for them.
I can do that without having to argue about what we're going to eat on Wednesday.
Yeah, we don't have to argue on it.
Ruining my mood.
I know that this Friday night is going to be our Friday night. You ain't got to stay. We ain't got to talk about what we doing in the morning for breakfast. None of that. This time is our time, and now it's done. And I think that happens a lot. I think a lot of people appreciate being able to navigate their lives. I think really we going back to the I Love Lucy days where niggas gonna start being in the same room, sleeping in twin beds. I've heard older married people.
I've heard that helps.
I've heard
sleeping in different rooms.
Listen, I've heard older married people tell me that. They've also said if I could do it again, I'll probably just live next door.
Buy a house in the same neighborhood. I've heard that.
Yeah, like all types of stuff, because you get a chance to miss someone. We don't miss anybody anymore because you got connection to them, whether you texting that person all day. Like there's nothing to really come home. There used to be nigga leave his house 7:30 in the morning. Like you had no idea what that person was doing
wasn't no
until they
texting
got
all
home around
day.
5:36. You had no idea. Literally no idea. They could have had the most craziest, dangerous day of their life, and you wouldn't know until they came home and they say, hey, what do I tell you about my day? And we lost that. And I think a lot of that has to kind of play into it, man. It's exhausting. Plus, I'm sure COVID has something to do with it as well. Being isolated for so long, like, yeah.
Me personally, I think I have an unrealistic expectation of happiness when it comes to relationships. And I say that to say I want a few pretexts. One is I know some married people. Now I'm not throwing anybody under the bus here. I'm just speaking generally. I ain't speaking of anything specific. I don't know anybody where I look at them. I'm not speaking on information that I know that I've been told by one spouse or the other, but just me looking at them and being like, damn, that look like a happy couple. That look like fucking Cliff and Claire Huxtable. Like they look like they enjoy each other's time. They want to be. I've literally never seen that. I don't know nobody in my life that has that type of relationship. And I don't know if that's unrealistic to expect or not. Even I've been in a long-term relationship before, and that may have been one of the flaws that I had, like thinking that you're supposed to be happy in that all the time. And I know we've talked about it on here. And then I would go to the next thing and say, well, if that ain't the thing, then why would I do this? Like I don't see myself going through that type of misery in order to like just be in a relationship. Like I ain't doing like none of that. Like I can't do the trivial stuff that I see people get mad, pissed off over with their significant others and be like, well, yeah, I want to sign up for that. I don't want to do it.
Well, I think people, the big part obviously is the person, right? What you're willing to do for an individual and what you're willing to do for a person.
But see, here's the thing. You could be willing to do something for someone because you love them and because of the bond that you guys have. And I also feel like you could be like, well, I don't really want to be around that person either. Like if you need me, I'll pull up. Like whatever you need, I always will be grateful to you versus what we had or what we have right now. But just I don't want to do like it has to do with compromise for me. Like the things that I see people compromise in relationships, and it's just like, well, I'm not interested in it. I'm not interested in sitting here and watching, and this is something small. I ain't interested in sitting here and watching Love and Hip Hop with you, and I don't want you to be mad at me because I don't want to do it, bro. I want to go back here and do whatever I want to do. Like that's just maybe
realization time. All right.
Okay.
I have every now and then I have these moments where in real time I'm coming up with something, and I'm just curious. I want to ask you this question, and I'm curious.
Okay.
Why is it that you're looking at what your relationship could be? Why do you think that would be something that happens in your relationship? Like that hasn't even happened yet.
I've experienced it. Yeah.
Okay, but the next one, why? What? Like, are you cautious because of your past, or are you really just like,
well, it sounds
like you're just not interested in it.
Yeah, I'm not willing to compromise. I don't care to compromise. It ain't because of the past. I just don't care to like, oh, I'm gonna sit here and watch this show with my girl, even though I'm not interested because we spend time together. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, I have no interest in doing it. Like, we can spend time together doing something else.
Put a pin in this, because we're gonna circle back to this here in a second about the main part of this episode.
Okay.
Not to cut you off, but this is gonna flow in perfectly. I got questions for you. Because how does your best case scenario look if that's you know what I mean? So we'll circle back to that.
I have an answer for that too. I thought about that.
Perfect.
Because this is something I think I thought about that.
Now, granted, this is also coming from the same person, me, who said if I'm ever rich, like I never understood why rich people got married. I never
understood. And that's part of my answer. That's part of my answer.
I was young thinking that too. Like it just didn't make sense to me. When I read about people's divorces and what they got to pay out, I'm like, yo,
if I have enough money to do what I want, why would I settle for doing like why would I do that? I don't get it. Like and at the same time, I wouldn't want somebody that would let me run over them just because I'm rich. So it's a lose-lose. Like I'm not doing either one of those. But yeah.
Hey, that's funny. That's funny as fuck, low key. Like you.
What's that? Which part?
The fact that you're like you with me because I'm rich, but you let me run over you because I'm rich, so I don't like you. They catch 22 with you. Spike got him in hell, man. That shit funny.
I be listening to homies. I'm watching this show such and such. Oh, my girl watches, so I gotta watch it with her, bro. That shit blows my mind. Like I could not do that. Like it's just not interesting to me at all. But it's compromise. It comes with a relationship, and I ain't got to worry about that.
We're gonna circle back. We might even talk about that next week.
That's fair. That's fair.
But we definitely circling back this episode. But last thing before we get into the main thing, WNBA, rising league, TV rights are on the table. I think collective bargaining, is up on the table after this season. So there could be a strike, but neither here nor there. WNBA has been a more popular league than ever, and they had a lot of fun, which a lot of sports teams' social media pages do, with the schedule release. Just kind of having fun. I saw a lot of great content put out there by a lot of teams, and the Phoenix Mercury had a photo shoot with some of their players, some of their star players, and there's one photo in particular with the headline of, "We've already asked our boss if we can frame these in the practice facility." All right. The players, just to make sure I acknowledge them by name, we have Kalia Copper, gold medalist Kalia Copper, she Hooper, black woman. Sophie Cunningham, white woman. And Natasha Cloud.
Which one is Kalia Copper?
Kalia Copper's the one in this picture. She's the one on the ground.
Oh.
All right. So this image that we're talking about, and all right, this image that we're talking about, just for if you haven't seen it before, Kalia Copper, or let me back up a little bit. Let me give a little bit of like idea of what they are trying to do, because you can look at the picture and see what they're trying to do. They're trying to do one of those corny JCPenney, Sears, corny Step Brothers type of photo shoots, right? Where everybody kind of wears the turtlenecks and the same thing, and you make the silly poses with the serious faces, don't smile, all of that stuff, right? One person sits on another, other person gets on somebody's back and looks like they're flying around. You've all seen these on social media. So that was their goal and their intent with this. Kalia Copper, dark-skinned black woman, is on the ground, belly down, hand on her face, like kind of like on the chin, while Cunningham, the white woman, is sitting on her feet with her feet on her lower back. And then you have Cloud kind of sitting there in the corner, almost being petted, because Cunningham's hand is on top of her head. So obviously it looks terribly. It looks terrible from a visual perspective, right? Well, as you can expect, Spike, this blew up on social media. Mm-hmm. People were highly upset, calling it racist, trying to figure out who approved this. What were your thoughts when you first saw this? And the outrage.
I saw
I'm sorry. One more thing I want to add to this before you even get into that. That was not the only picture taken. I think that's important for context. I have another context piece that we'll get to in a second, but it's important for context to know there were also photos of all three of them together making a heart, like coming together to join a heart. Three of them together, when it was just Copper and Cloud, who were both the black women, one was on the other's back, not sitting there, but just kind of the one carrying the other. You had them stacked on top of each other, where the white woman's on the bottom, followed by the two black girls, and then the mascot. So it was equal opportunity fucked up, but that picture in particular, we know why it looks wrong and why it's fucked up. But was the outrage justified? That's what I really want to know, Spike Lee. Was the outrage justified?
I think me and you may have a different opinion. The rare occasion on this.
I'm very curious to know what you think.
I scrolled by this on Twitter and I seen it, and I just kept scrolling. I was like, oh, okay. Because I've seen those pictures before. I've seen the original ones, like that they're basing it off of, like what you said. So I was like, oh, someone's doing this again. I didn't even know who the people were in there. And then you brought it up to my attention. I did click on one of it once it kept showing up on my timeline as to what it was. And if the people were mad about it, or why the white girl sitting on the black girl, I think this is fake outrage. I think this is fake outrage in the sense of they're teammates. I honestly think that they're black people in the room. And I think that the black people in the room, not just the players that were in the picture, but like the execs, I would be remiss to think that there are no black women or men around this organization that looked at that and were like, but then kind of shrugged it off because these girls are teammates. Like, you know what I'm saying? They together half the year, however much the WNBA plays. So it don't even really, it shouldn't come off that way because it don't come off that way to them. So it may have been at worst, it may have been slightly tone deaf, slightly, and I'm saying that like very slightly, but I think it's more so the fake outrage culture and people looking for shit to talk about on social media. And here's the problem that I have with it before I toss it over to you, Rich, and we talk briefly about this. There are things that there should be outrage about, like the shit that Andrew Schultz is doing right now. I want to make sure that I let everybody. I'm selling my Andrew Schultz stock. I'm no longer an investor in anything Schultz got going on. He got me all the way off the bandwagon with this latest interaction with Kendrick. But that's where an outrage. I could see someone being outraged by that whole interaction with Kendrick and what happened. This right here, I feel like it gets jumbled into that, and people are overreacting to this when they should be reacting more to something like that. When it's more blatant at what he's doing. This ain't blatant disrespect. Like, this is her teammate, bro. Like, they probably play around and have fun like this all the time. I don't think that there's a racist intention in this. It's just how people are perceiving it. You laughing, I gotta know what you gotta say.
I'm laughing for two reasons. One, I'm laughing because you thought I was going to disagree. I agree with you wholeheartedly. This is
you sent it to me like I thought you sent it to me like
I sent it to you because I wanted to discuss it because I knew I was going to be on the side of listen. And, all right, let me make sure I set this up properly, right?
Okay.
But I do have a curveball to throw you.
All right.
And it's going to change. It might change the conversation. So I don't know if it's age. I don't know what it is. But there's just a certain point of life where I've reached where I just don't give a fuck about something.
That's why I didn't click on it the first time. I told you I scrolled by it 3 times. I didn't click on it. I was like, I don't care, bro.
And here's what I mean by that. Do I want someone to be in that room to look at that image and say, you know what? This ain't a good look. Right? Do I wish that they were, it might be a stretch to say educated. I think that's a little bit, I might be out of bounds by saying that. Do I wish they were more aware of the history of things like that and how they can be perceived when it comes to Black people in this country? How it can be looked at when you have a white woman sitting on a Black woman and petting another? Absolutely. You want that to happen, right? As a Black man, you want that to happen. And I don't know Cloud or Copper. And so what I'm about to say has nothing to do with them personally. Take them out of this. But as Rachel always says, shout out to Ray P, not everybody's a nigga's nigga. I'm not accusing them of not being that. But there are going to be people in this world who don't understand that either. Right? Just like you mentioned, there are 2 Black women in this picture who are willing participants. Neither one of them, because I think to your point, Spike, if you've ever been on any kind of team, I think you look at it as this is my teammate, not as this is some race shit. Because they agreed to do it, right? And there's other pictures. I think the other pictures helped me a little bit on this stance because I saw clearly, I had context of what they were trying to do. Somebody still should have been in that room. If I was in that room, like, yo, that one ain't going to work. How about you get on the ground, Cunningham, the white girl, you get on the ground and let Copper sit on you or whatever, or change the whole pose up, get rid of it altogether. That's not going to work. I'm telling you right now, that's not a good look. But do I think it deserves days of outrage and talk? No. It's something that you wish that it happened differently, but it didn't. So you got to keep it moving because there's real shit to really be concerned about and to really talk about. It's a missed opportunity. And I think we have to get as a society, I hope we get back to just missed opportunities and leaving it at that and keeping it pushing. This really has nothing to do with my day, right? But here's where it got interesting. Cunningham, the white woman, allegedly is a Trump voter. I just seen the magazine. It has openly posted on her stories and her pages about pro-Trump things. Knowing that, does that change your this is my teammate stance?
Yes.
100%. That's the part 100%. Why I was laughing at. That's why
I wasn't familiar with her game. Mm-hmm. Like now that I was reading it while you were talking, like I wasn't trying to be rude, but I saw somebody said get MAGA Barbie out of our face. Like, yeah, if she got the Trump, like if she got the Trump stance and shit out there, now it's in people's head that like I'm trying to manipulate this situation and show like power. Like it's no longer innocent like the teammate thing anymore because now you got a history. So yeah, like now that I see the MAGA shit is totally different. Like it looks racist now.
Yeah,
and it's interesting how that it's interesting how that perspective can change just from 2 minutes ago when I was saying that to knowing more about her history. Like I don't know these women. I at first thought this was just well, I didn't know what I thought they was. I ain't gonna say
no.
American
Listen,
couple, third chick is there, but I didn't know who they were at first. But now knowing who they are, and even more so who the white lady is, and knowing that she's a Trump supporter, somebody 100% should have said, "No, this can't happen." Whether it be the lady laying there or somebody else in the room.
I literally set it up like that because I knew your train of thought was gonna be the same as mine. So when I tell y'all that when I saw it, I didn't care. I literally didn't. Right before we started recording, I saw that piece of it and I waited to tell Spike because his reaction was the same way. It did change it for me.
Now you're trying to be shady. Like now my whole perception. Yeah, she's trying to be funny now, in my opinion. And it still may be as innocent as I explained it in the beginning, like, oh, we teammates. Like it still may be that, but just because you walking out there with the Make America Great Again hat on, and there's a perception with that crowd of people, and now you sitting on a black woman in a photo shoot for the team photos, like, nah, you can't do that. And to double down on it, if you're not racist, you should know well enough to know I shouldn't do this. Like even like let's say she's like me and my Dan's been a fan of the show. I don't even know if he still listens because me and him been going back and forth about this Trump shit, and like we just have totally different views on it. I don't even think he'll come on and talk about it just because of how different we are on it.
There's a conversation. Listen. There is a conversation to be had, and I don't know Dan personally. I've listened to him before on platforms, but I'm just being honest. There is a conversation about people who identify as American, Christian, and Trump supporters.
Yes,
that is a real thing,
and
it does not surprise me that you see it differently because, man, there's too much to unpack here, but that's a real thing.
That's what I was just about to say, and I think I was on Is the Mic Still On? Y'all check that out. Drops on Wednesday with that in. I was on Is the Mic Still On? And it was Ken or Mike that said this. There's a difference between a Trump supporter and someone who voted for Trump. Like there's a difference. I understand that. I know everybody that voted for Trump is not a racist. I know that. However, if you voted for Trump, then you go do a picture like this, I'm more likely to think that you're racist than to think that you just voted for Trump because you believe in his policies. Like, because you should be able to see, like, you should, if I'm being honest with you as a black man and I'm looking at you and you made that decision, that's fine. But you also should be a lot more cognizant of, okay, this could be perceived as right. Like, I'm already over on this side. I'm already defending this. And now I need to be a little bit more cautious at some of the things that I do. And I think that a lot of people get defensive when you tell them that. And they think that, oh, you're trying to call me a racist. Like, I'm not, bro. I'm just saying you need to pay a lot more attention now because that's the stance that you're taking. And you're arguing that you're not the supporter. You're just a voter. Well, you have to show people now. And this is not how you show people.
Yeah. And to your point, you have to know, you have to be self-aware because I see too many smart people acting dumb. And you have to be self-aware enough to know, that I'm gonna look at you a certain way because of that.
Facts.
No matter how long I've known you, how good of a person you are, it's hard for me to say that you care about me and then do that. Like I said, you're entitled to do whatever you want to, but you have to at least know. Don't be shocked if I do look at you or say something like, yo, what's up with that? What? Why are you confused? Like, come on, bro. You have to know that. And that's have to be the starting point of the conversation.
Or should at least be able to understand. Because I do understand that person saying, because there's a facet of people further left than I am that would just throw you in the racist pile. And they would be like, oh, well, yeah, you're just racist and
I ain't gonna do
this
that.
and woke that. I'm not that person. However, you still have to understand that the person that you're talking to, you got to think that they're going to question what you did. Like, you just have to think that and not get defensive about it.
Exactly.
And be able to have like some type of conversation. So that's a good. That was a good save. That was a good podcasting right there, Rich. Because you got me. Like, I kept reading. I scrolled a little bit and I said, "Mago Bar."
I did that on purpose, bro, because I wanted to see. Great. I'm like, let me throw this curveball at you. But yeah, that's definitely, and like I said, very, because I know religion and stuff. That's a big thing for people. That's out there listening. So I want to make sure I'm clear. White Christianity, Trump support.
Yes.
Just a lot of things look funny in the light when I look at those two.
Pretty much.
And I mean that in the sense of Dan. I would love to have Dan come on, not from an attacking standpoint. There are things I just don't understand. I just don't understand them, and I would love to know.
He think he's gonna get attacked, man. I don't think he's gonna do it. I'm gonna try to convince him, but I don't think he's gonna do it.
Nah, because that's not even my style. I'm a genuinely
I ain't even talking
curious
about
person
you. I'm just saying in general.
No. I know. I'm just saying it. In this platform, I don't think either one of us would. It's healthy conversation. Even though I probably would disagree with most of what he says, 99% of what he says, that doesn't mean I can't have the conversation and just get a little bit more insight. And at some point, I think every conversation reaches a point where you just know, like, all right, this is just what it is.
I'm gonna see, can I set that up? I think people would like to hear that. That would be really good.
Just an interesting
content.
Yeah, just an interesting point. But yeah, long story short, man, those are the type of things I choose to pick, and those are the type of things that I pick and choose my battles with. It's a terrible look. I wish that it didn't happen. I wish somebody was there to say, nah, maybe you shouldn't do it that way. And like I said, Cunningham, I think that's her last name, she might not have even looked at it on that sense. She might have been innocent along with everyone else. But just the fact that we know this about you, that's why your reputation matters. That's why your reputation matters, man, because that carries you. Now we look at it a certain way because of who you present yourself to be. Now, how do I know you weren't trying to be funny and it was your idea to make that pose? And now you're sharing it with your friends. Also, look what I got them to do. You just never know. And I could be reaching, but it could be true. And that's the whole point. That's the whole point.
That's where we are now in society. Because like everything you just said is spot on. Because now I'm looking at it like, oh, she did this on purpose. Because it don't seem like this is a coincidence if those are your politics or your beliefs. Like it seems like now you have more influence on this than it would have if this was just something innocent and I ain't know your politics. So yeah, I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, it's wild, man. It's wild. All right, we get to the main part, man. That's it. I think that's all we have, man, for current events. We got some good conversation out of that, man. I'm excited to hear about you took the reins this week in regard to what our main topic was going to be. You laid it out for me, man. I'm interested to hear more about it, man. I had a conversation with you.
Absolutely. I saw something that I thought was interesting. I don't remember exactly what it was, but they were doing an exercise where this, I don't know if she was a therapist, psychiatrist, what she was. She was going over this thing with a guy. She was like, roll out your ultimate everything is going right scenario with me. Like, where are you living? Who's around? What are you doing on a day-to-day basis? Like, what are you doing for income? Like, how much do you enjoy that? Like, what city are you living in? What type of car are you driving? What's your house look like? And the premise of the exercise is to have the person that's telling you those things actually think about what they really want out of life, what that looks like, and verbalizing it. And when you verbalize stuff, you've been in therapy, I've been in therapy, like verbalizing things help you put it in better. It helps you wrap your mind around it more. So my thought process with this is you and I going through that same exercise, talking about, okay, ultimately, what does Rich want to do? Like, he right here podcasting, we're doing another week in the books. You're doing Culture Garden. You're doing all of the stuff that you are a part of. What does it look like when all of that stuff is working? Like, where are you living? What are you driving? Who's around you on a daily basis? Like, who's a part of that business with you? What are you doing for fun? What are you doing for just like, what time do you get up? Like, all of the small things, and just going over that with each other and then asking each other questions about that in the sense of, and the people listening. I'd love for the people that are frequent listeners of this to answer these questions to yourself with us, and even write in awitb2022 at Gmail, like what that looks like for you. Because it's very important to verbalize that, because as I was talking to Rich about before we start recording the pre-recording, once you start to verbalize those things, your mind starts to work in a sense of, okay, how do I actually make that happen? Is that actually possible? And then you get to make the adjustments. You get to do the different things. And of course, we can't predict the future, but that's the perfect thing about this exercise. You get to use your imagination as to where you want it to be. You're not making any predictions. You're saying, this is what I want it to look like. And then that drives your mind into, okay, how do I work towards getting my life what I want it to look like exactly? And yeah, there may be some things that come up, but ultimately you get to have this blueprint. So that's what I thought process came from.
I love that, man. This is real time too. I haven't really had time to think about this.
Y'all ready? I sprung it
know
on
if
you
did,
late, man.
Spike.
That's my bad.
No. I like it. I like it because now
I thought about it on the road trip. Back from the holidays.
This is perfect. This is perfect podcasting because it's real and authentic, man. It ain't nothing predetermined. I might have to think about this in real time. So, I'll tell you one thing that's completely random. But this has always been one of those, like, whenever I get to do whatever I want to do with my time, I'm an early riser. Like, I wake up early. I like getting a start. I want to get to a point where every morning, like 5:30 in the morning, I'm watching a movie I never seen before. Like, that's how I want to start my day. Like, obviously start with some like prayer, meditation, quiet time. But right after that, make a smoothie or some tea, roll one up, and watch a movie that I've never seen before.
That's
do
interesting.
that every single day.
So we can go back and forth like that. Like, because for me, my ultimate morning is I hate rushed mornings. That's why I hate early morning flights. Like, you always feel you gotta be like, for me, my ultimate morning would be waking up, like you said, maybe 6:30, 7. And if I want to go work out and hit a trail, if I want to go to a coffee shop and just like finish whatever I got to do for the day, but being able to just be at a pace where I ain't rushing to an office, I'm not rushing to a meeting, I'm not rushing to a flight. One of my biggest things, like you said, is waking up each day, and I want to be able to just be doing something at a leisurely pace, while I know I ain't got to be rushing around like a chicken with my head cut off and like I'm trapped in the maze of everyday working life. So for me, it would be waking up early in the morning, getting a good exercise in, going to a coffee shop, sitting there chilling for maybe an hour or 2 hours, watching the people come in also while I'm getting work done, or yoga, something like that. Smoke one, go do some yoga, and now I can start my day in a peaceful, relaxed manner. That's ultimate. That's the ideal start for the day for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Workout comes after the movie for me. And then when it comes to job and what that looks like.
Go back though.
All right, well, let's talk about go ahead.
Where you living at? Where's your ideal
I was just about
place?
to say that.
Yeah.
So that's a great question. West Coast. It's got to be somewhere out west. I've
Cali?
got definitely Cali, probably LA, I would say, somewhere in LA. Ideally. LA is just anytime I go out west, right? Anytime I go to Pacific time, all of it just feels like home. Like, it just feels like it's natural out there for me. It's my type of vibe, my type of personality, the whole nine. I love the hustle and bustle like a New York, Chicago. I've thought about Texas, but I think ideally for what I want to do, what I see myself doing, LA would be the most likely choice.
We're gonna get into what we do part. All right, the where you at for me, that's changed over the years because I would have had that same answer as you as little as 2 years ago. But birthdays and you know how that puts more mortality into, like, you looking at those things. Like, but now my ultimate home base is going to be home, Nashville. I'm going to be and it helps that it's a rising city as well. But I just get so much joy now out of being around my people. You just moved away. Yeah. I've been away for, this is going on 15 years, I think, something like that. And I just enjoy so much now when I'm home, like being with moms, and we wouldn't even got to be doing that. I've said this before, like being with my cousins, being with my friends that know me, and it ain't no forced conversations. It's just you being around people that know you, and it just feels good. Like, versus being in an office with coworkers, being like somewhere with people like, okay, I met them 2-3 years ago, and it's still, y'all are cool, but it still ain't like they don't know me. So for me, I would be stationed in Nashville, but I definitely have hubs, like you said, on the West Coast, hubs in New York, up that eastern shoreline. I need somewhere to stay in LA. I need somewhere to stay in New York. I need somewhere to stay in some remote place like Maine or fucking Wyoming or somewhere like that. But my main place is going to be in Nashville because I just want to be around my family more as I'm getting older, as they're getting older. Like, that's moved so far up on my list as like just the things that are enjoyable to me, the jokes, the memories, like those things, just sitting there like kicking the shit with them. So I would be in Nashville.
I'm with you on that, man. I like that. I'm gonna switch it up. You're absolutely right, because I've said this before. People that know I love Cincinnati. Like I love Cincinnati, man. I love everything about it, not just the family aspect, but just the city in general. Kind of like what you said about Nashville, rising city. Everybody that goes to Cincinnati now, I mean, the work they've done over the past 10, 15 years. But anybody that goes to Cincinnati, especially their first time, it's like, yo, I ain't know Cincinnati was like this. Just a real dope city, and just knowing there's nothing about just the ease of knowing where you at, knowing where to go, who got the best this, who got the best that. Like there's nothing, it's unmatched. It's unmatched, man. Everything's familiar.
And
that would definitely
seeing the new stuff and seeing the new stuff. Like I ain't been here in a while. Like, damn, that's dope. Like, let me go check that out. And again, it's quite like just when I was at home this time, like me and my mom, like, so we got parks in Nashville that we used to hang out at, like Centennial Park, Hadley Park. Before I got on the bus to leave, we had some time to kill. We went and got is it acai bowl, ACI, whatever the bowl thing is, the acai bowl. Me and my mom went and got one of those for breakfast, and we just walked around Centennial Park. Now, this is a park, Rich, that we used to go to as youngsters, and like niggas had the cars out, the dogs and stuff would be out. Like we would go there to kick it. But now I'm over here at 40 plus years old, walking around it with my mom, just like having conversations with her, listening to her, like we just walking around the park. And I was just thinking, like, damn, this would be dope to do on a daily or every other day basis. Like just having access to those things is why I would be based in my hometown.
That makes sense. That's part of the reason. So when I got the job that to move, I had the option of the role. I've been with the same company, but when I got the role, I had the option of Phoenix or Cleveland. Like, I could have went to Phoenix, and I love Phoenix.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I'm gonna stay because I don't want to be that far.
Yeah, you don't want to be that far. Yeah, like that's,
you know what I mean. I have season tickets to the Bengals, but not even outside of that too, because I could just sell those, especially with the year we've been having. But just the first reason was I don't want to be that far away from the fam.
Yeah,
like that way, if anything ever happen, I could just hop down 71 and be straight.
You're in 4 hours versus having to book a flight, go to security, pack bags, all those shit. Yeah, 100%.
Exactly, man. So it's definitely home base in Cincinnati than somewhere else. Because I would love to have somewhere in the mountains. Like I like being remote. I like just being chill.
That's why I threw that in there. I have to have a remote spot, like whether it's up in Maine in a fucking cabin, if it's Wyoming on a ranch or like something of that nature. But I need a remote spot too, where I'm gonna go to and like just you can't get in touch with me. Like I ain't gonna be available for the next 3 days, bro. Like it's just I'm out here, I'm chilling. It ain't really no Wi-Fi. I'm watching good movies, smoking good green, and just like I'm chilling. Like this is just what it is right now. You just got to deal with it.
So what are you doing?
I was going to ask you the same thing. You want me to go first, or you got it?
Nah, that's a rotation, so I'll go first. I'm running. This is the start of it, right? And I don't know what it looks like, but I'm running at some kind of media company, right? So, and Spike, you know this because I talked to you off mic. I don't know if you pick up on how many times I've come to you like, yo, I got this idea. I got this, I got that. Like I just hit you with one before we started recording. Like just these ideas, they come so naturally to me. And I all think, you have to execute them, but I all think they're like the lead to building to something. And I tell people about my podcasting journey. It was just something for me to talk about something I love, which is movies, Black movies in particular, with school. Like my brother, one of my favorite people in this entire world. That was just something for us to do. And that was grown into where right now I have 6 podcasts that I'm a part of, recording multiple days a week, the whole 9, right? Built these incredible relationships with people. So it's like, all right, there's some space in here, and it's all been easy, right? We talked earlier in this episode about stuff being work, like not having fun. I have fun every single time.
Facts.
Yeah, there are days where it's like, all right, man, like I wish I had a little bit of free time, or I wish I didn't have to do this just so I kick my feet up. But once we press play, it's all good. Like we start rolling. It's more so anxiety of like, especially with another week in the books, because I never know what the conversation is going to turn out like. We briefly talk about this is what we want to lean towards, and then we just let it flow. I think this is one of the most impressive because everything else that I do has at least a backdrop of something where we can pull from, whether it's a movie, whether it's a show, whether it's a scene, something like that. But this is just authentic.
Yeah, this is just me going off of each other. Like, and I think that's one of the secret ingredients with this version versus the last version is how we are able to just flow in the conversations. Because I have talked to people that listen to this versus the last one. It's like I'm just tuning into like it's like I'm on a phone call with y'all niggas.
Mm.
I'm on a phone call with you,
compliment.
like with two people just planning out stuff, two black men that have high aspirations as to what they want to do, that are very focused, that want good things from each other and themselves. And I'm just listening to y'all talk about, okay, here's the plan, here's what to do, here's how we're going to do it. So that was a really dope compliment. Yeah,
that's dope, man. But so I'm running that, and what my joy is, what I really want to do. I like seeing people who are good at things and helping them get in a position to where they can maximize that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I see myself running something. I always tell people I see myself as a producer more than a podcaster, because I like seeing people that I'm a fan of and you talented, or you might not even know you talented in this. Like, let me holler at you. You ever thought about this? I got a show idea for you. I'll talk about those ideas. Here's an idea that's been in my mind. Had no idea who could execute it. I think you might be the person for that, or you might be perfect for this. And just pitching ideas to people, because there's certain things that I don't think I'd be good talking about or have no interest in talking about, right? On a consistent, regular basis. Even though we do it a little bit here, like I can never do a fully dedicated current events podcast. Like I just could I don't have enough interest. My takes would be, who cares? So what? Next topic.
Right.
More times than not. Like I don't know how to be entertaining in that way. But there are things that I see other people that would be great at it. And I want to kind of build something with everything. I know we talked about it before, kind of like the Ringer Podcast Network, and just what he built. And there's literally whatever you like in life, there's something over there for you. It's because you find good people to talk about it. And I think there's a certain, being at the level of where we are, where I am from a podcast perspective, knowing that you have some talent and have some ideas and have the work ethic. There's something about knowing that feel. I never want to lose the feeling of what it was like grinding, because there's going to be other people that do that, and you never know what it means to somebody giving them that look. And I see myself doing that, like going to somebody, yo, you're talented. I want to see you do this. I want to stay connected and just overseeing that. Obviously, still be recording, still be podcasting. But I would definitely want to be doing that, being a CEO and putting people in positions to be their own bosses. You know, like Hov said, put my niggas on. My niggas put their niggas on.
So now we all somewhere foreign, chilling, sipping
something.
I ain't forget you,
cousin. You know, so that's what I see myself as far as foreign occupation. And obviously, I'm sure I'll have some investments going. I would love to be on some kind of board of directors, whether it's for some kind of youth organization, something giving back to the community, being very specific about giving back to Black kids. You know what I mean? Giving back is good and all that stuff, but I want to be specific and intentional about giving back to some Black kids, especially those who are in areas that need it the most, and making sure, you know, food deserts, all types of stuff, just making sure basic, simple resources are there. Whatever organization or nonprofit that I can help start to participate in that, I will want to do that and kind of have its own thing there, because it won't just be work. But I'm sure there'll be other small businesses and things that go with that. I'd love to be, or I will be, start saying it like that, traveling, speaking, moderating panels. I don't need much. Like, I don't want to be, I've said this before. Anytime you start something new in this space, or the first time at least I got into this space, my first thought was, man, I want to be the most popular, I want to have the biggest podcast. I don't care about none of that anymore. I just want to have some impact and be able to do what I want to do, help people out, and not want for anything. So that's what I will be doing. I want to hear yours, and then we can talk about who's going to be around you.
You brought it up in what you would be doing. Mine is Bill Simmons. Like that, to me, that's the goal. That's the ultimate example of what we do and running it like the Ringer. And for people that are not familiar with Bill Simmons, it's like what you said, Rich. It's a media company. It's also documentaries. It's also movie ideas, TV show ideas, stuff that I think needs to be explained from a Black perspective, whether it be podcasting, whether it be a movie, whether it be a TV show. But it's going to be based around this, based around what we do as podcasting, and then employing talented people to get their ideas across. And that will be the day-to-day basis of it, like in a real short breath version of what you said, like just media in general. What I think that we need more of, or voices more of to hear from. Like when I'm always looking at shit like, man, that would be really dope if there was a Black perspective of it. Like that. Like that's the boy. Yeah, exactly. Like what we do with Good Earners. Like that's the void that I want to fill as far as having the podcast or the TV show or the documentary or the YouTube short or the TikTok series or whatever it may be. And it's not going to be me. I'll be in my same role, like what you said. I'll do podcasts here and there. I'll write pitches for documentaries or storyboards for documentaries or movies or TV ideas that I think are good and pitch those to investors and try to get those made and have the production company to get that stuff made if it gets greenlit, or even if it doesn't, on some Tyler Perry shit to a smaller level where I can go make it myself if I need to. I can hire a production company if I don't have it. I can get the sound stage and I can get the ideas out there, but also being able to get in those same rooms to pitch the idea, to play the movie for the board of executives. And they like, okay, well, damn, I'll give you this much money for it. Like I want to be not on a Brian Allen level. I ain't trying to be a billionaire and like buy TV companies and shit like that. But even in the sense of, again, Bill Simmons to me is a perfect model. Like he just had the Yacht Rock documentary. Before that, he had the Andre the Giant documentary. Like in a documentary field, you got several different podcasts that you do. And it's all in the sense of, I want to tell these stories from my perspective. Yeah. And I want to put people around me who challenge my perspective, who have different or the same perspectives that can help me tell the story, or can challenge my story and make it even better because they have another point of view from it, and have those people around me while I'm getting that out there and doing that. That's going to be the ultimate thing for me. Also, in the sense of what you said, I want to be able to introduce young Black men to media. Like the nonprofit, like you said, going to different schools, going to different universities, catching them while they're young, maybe in middle school, and teaching. Like we need more Black men in media, whether it's the news at CNN, whether it's ESPN, and training them on how to do that. How to do that in the sense of not traditionally where you have to do it this way, where they've taught you this way, and you got to sound like this broad. Oh, this is such and such. This is Tom Sawyer. From like being able to present themselves in a natural fashion where it doesn't turn us, me and you, off. Like there's a reason why Black men or don't watch the news or don't tune in the mainstream media, because we don't feel like we can relate to that. I want to be able to reach young Black men in the sense of, here's how you can say it, here's the way that you can attack it, and have the connections as to where I can get them in positions where they're actually able to turn those things into fruition. So that's the other thing with it. Go ahead.
I just want to, just real quick, I think that's incredible. That's incredible. And it's funny you say that because I recently was watching the news back when I was at home with my mom, you know, because obviously you with your mom, the news is going to be on. But I was thinking about the anchors, and I'm like, just the anchor voice. We all know the anchor voices. There's people on social media who have a great following because they'll do regular things in their anchor voice.
That's great. I love that content too.
Yeah, it's dope. But I always thought about like that's just a thing. Like it's just a known thing that's how you do it. Obviously, we all know the famous what really happened that day down in the bug flew in his mouth. That nigga really got turned into himself. The fuck is that? So it would be dope. The thought just crossed my mind when I was watching it. Like, man, I wonder what it would look like if somebody just talked in their regular voice.
They were being regular fucking people. Exactly. And to your point, I love seeing that anchor content because I think it's dope. Because they're Black. The ones that I seen were Black people. They were from Atlanta.
Yeah.
It was Fred Blake.
Same.
Yeah,
I think they married.
I think they married. I thought that was really dope because you could see, like, we really are Black people, bro. We do this purposely. Like, they make us do this. I would love to see what it looked like if there was talented. Well, I won't say talented because they're talented, but if there was a demand for people like, we just want to hear real talk, but we still want it to be even how does that sound? Well, you don't got to put that voice on. I would love to explore
late night shows.
Yeah, I would love to explore that. And even like you said with the late night show, get more like, I just think we need more of a presence in this space. Like there's a lot of niggas doing podcasts now, unprofessionally trained. What would it look like if we had the funding and the means and took the time out to professionally train them? And where do they go? Like, are they on CNN? Are they on Fox News? Are they on CNBC? Because there's a lot of flack given to the podcast. You know, everybody got a podcast, Mike. We've talked about that a lot. What would it look like if those people were professionally trained or earlier got into this and know what they needed to do to make it like, well, Like Bomani is a perfect example for me. Like I listen to Bomani podcast, and Bomani can be a nigga, but he also can go do the CNN spot and body them too. And that's rare. Yeah, Van Lathan. Like he get Mark Lamont Hill. Like I have a lot. Like Mark Lamont recently joined the Joe Budden podcast, and I got a lot more respect for him listening to him there than I did hearing him on CNN. Because I thought he was just another one of those talking here. This a Van. He like Van Jones. But now Mark Lamont, he like from what I've heard, Mark Lamont Hill a real nigga. Like it's just I do that to do that on CNN. I want to train more people to be able to do that.
No doubt. I think that's incredible, man. Especially
quick side note: did you hear when him and Flip got into it? Like, do you listen?
Yeah, I a couple weeks ago, I think or so.
Yeah, like he would like they had to cut the podcast and everything. Like him and Flip was going to really get to it.
Oh no, I didn't hear all of it. I heard like a portion of it, but it wasn't that intense. So
they had to cut. Now they had to cut. Like it really got to it. It was like, all right, now we back. We squashed that and whatever it may be. But
I'm about to check that out.
That made me respect Mark Lamont because I didn't take Mark Lamont Hill as that type of nigga, and he was the one. It wasn't Flip. It wasn't like usually it's Flip. Like Mark Lamont Hill was like, nah, nigga, you got me fucked up, bro. Like you ain't feeling like I don't know what you thought this was.
That's the perception. See, that's the thing, man. With that image, when people think of you a certain way, you gotta tell them. You gotta show them, man. I say it all the time, man. You teach people how to treat you. Yeah, he ain't playing them games, man. That nigga from Philly.
And that's what he told him. I was just about to say that. He told him that's what his words were verbatim. Like, nigga, I'm from Philly. Like, I don't give a fuck what none of that Queens Flip shit you doing. Like, that don't mean nothing to me.
Right.
And then they cut it and they came back and you could tell some words were had and they squashed it. But like, yeah, go listen to that episode. It was. I don't know when it was. I'll send you the clip, but yeah.
I know. I remember when it was. I'm gonna look it up. I'm definitely want to check that out because we talked about it when we recorded Good Earners yesterday. There was just a moment where like I don't give a fuck about none of that. Like that's not going down like that ever. Like I don't know who you think you're talking to. None of this shit. So, but I think that's incredible what you said as far as like just making sure that you are giving back. As we both mentioned it, that's just a big thing, man. Giving back and reaching back. I want to make sure, I want to shout out like Bigger Than Sneakers. They're a nonprofit organization in Cincinnati. Do so many incredible things for the community, man. Shout out to my boy Matt MT. I think him and Tammy started that, and then I know Natalie's running things pretty much, man. Just an incredible organization. Always doing stuff and giving back to the community. I'm always inspired by the work that they do. And I'm glad to, anytime I can help out or do anything to help, I'm glad I'm able to contribute. Now we got to talk about who's with us. Now, are you asking like on a day-to-day? Or just who's a part of the team?
I don't even think it got to be necessarily on a day-to-day because I wouldn't like unless on
who's part of the main team? Like who?
Yeah,
if I had like five or six contacts in my phone, who would they be? Who am I talking to the most?
Like Hov and Tata.
Yeah,
like Tata, I've been around forever. Like this is like he there. Like or Guru. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like those are people. I may not talk to them every day, but that's the team. So that's what I mean in it.
So it'd be a combination of people, obviously. Like if I go back to the oldest,
and this is also
really all right. So now
keep in mind what this is. I was about to say this is. I'm bringing in enough revenue where I'm paying them well to be around. Like it ain't no like this is my homeboy. This is like I'm paying you to do a job and like you're very well off. And this is like I don't want it to sound like you're doing them a favor because they're gonna.
I know exactly what you mean. I have an opportunity I got an opportunity to. Yeah. You already deserve this.
Yes. There you go.
I have an opportunity to give you everything that you deserve.
Exactly.
Right, Phil would definitely be there just because he has a knack. We always call him the dot connector, man. He just has a knack for putting things together. Like he is, everything's organized. Like he's one of the most organized, consistent, persistent, get shit done person. Like he's very self-motivated. And like even so, for example, we're gonna start our own dynasty league next year for fantasy. Like $500 buy-in. If you never played dynasty, you keep your team the whole time, right? We were talking to people in another chat that we're in, or another league that we're in, about doing it. And two people said they went in, right? We have a shared note about this, and as soon as they said that, he added their names to that shared note. Whereas me, That's something that I'll revisit once I look at that note. Like, who said they was going to be involved? Like, nah, he one of those people. So nothing's ever going to slack. Like, he's gonna make sure you doing what you're supposed to be doing and you at where you're supposed to be at the whole nine. So Phil definitely got to be in that list. I'm gonna say Pierre. Pierre's definitely got to be there because he's the same type of person. Just Mr. Get It Done. Just very not distracted. Like, he's very, you know exactly what you're getting out of Pierre every single time. Like, his goals and his focus. I've always said Pierre's who I want to be when I grow up. Like, straight up. He's a year older than me. But Pierre's who I want to be when I grow up, man. I've always just been impressed by just how he carries it and just
how long have y'all
always
been
since we were born, since before we was born. Our moms are friends, like best friends.
Do he do anything in the podcast space now?
Nah, but we talked
so
about
you would bring him in. He'd be like a chief of staff or something.
Yeah, and he like a Biggs in a sense because he'd be just be in the background. Gotcha. If Pierre listened to 20 straight episodes, you wouldn't even know it. And then he'll just randomly hit you out of nowhere. Hey man, I like that. I appreciate the shout out this episode. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know you was listening, bro. Or like when we did after GNX dropped, right? After GNX dropped, he hit me up and was like, I don't know if you ever gonna start a Culture Garden hip hop, but if you do, I got some things I need to get off my chest. And like, so he's not like into I want to be a podcaster, but he definitely has things to contribute. And a lot of the stories and a lot of the things that I got familiar with, he was usually there for all of that. Like, he was my college roommate, all of that. Like, we've been friends since forever. So he has a lot of things. And like I said, more so than anything, he's just a get shit done person. Like, you never have to, like, you can always rely on him. Like, so you need people like that around. I say my boy, obviously Rachel would be around doing. Rachel's the talent. Rachel face will probably be up on as the main billboard for whatever company it is. If it's a media company, she'll be already doing that. Whatever she wants to do, really. Like, she could be a CEO. She could be the talent. She can do whatever she wants to. I just know you can depend on Rachel. She would be there. School. I'm trying to think of who else I would have just around. My boy Good, because he's great at content. Like, he's great at like putting together content, shooting content. Like, these are all people who are just really talented in that space. And I know if you told them, hey, you ain't got to do what you're doing right now, you can come do this full time and I'll pay you, they'd be like, bet. And they'd enjoy doing it.
Facts.
Those are the ones that come to my mind initially. And I know I'm missing people because there's going to be other people that will be involved. Like I said, there's a lot of people that I already know, like Chaz and people that I've worked with, but actually know on a personal level, who I would say, all right, I want you to do this, or at a certain point, run this division. Like Chaz was like, I don't even know if he still is, but he was like a big wrestling nigga. As you know, I used to wrestle. But even being like, yo, man, what ideally would want to do. So when you look at people, and I don't want to just call them the talent because they have more to give than that, but people who I know that are very talented, like a Chaz, like a Portia, like a K-Rob, like a ton of different people. Obviously, Mo was in that conversation. Everybody. I think that goes without saying. That's why I didn't say that. Mia, I would want it to be to a point where, what are you passionate about and what do you want to do? What do you want to talk about? Do you want to start your own little thing and just kind of expand from there? But these are all people that I'd be talking to on the regular, just really enjoying it. I'm sure there's more people, like I said, that I'm not thinking of.
Yep.
But all of them will be a perfect fit for what I want and what I need. I need stuff like that. I need somebody to be on my ass. Like, hey, bro, you can't do that today. Like, I know you want to, but you can't.
Facts. I love that. For me, first and foremost, we my guy Dro. Dro has this unique ability to challenge me without offending me. Like, he just hit me this week and was like, bro, if you're scared to drop the spike hats or whatever it may be, just say that. I'll take over from here and just let me know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I like the love that I have.
I love it.
That type of approach. Like, there's no replacement for that. So he would be one of the people most, like, first and foremost. Like just me and you, like, talking and just going with ideas, like, we would be over operations together. Like, I just love coming up with concepts and ideas with you.
Appreciate that, man. Same.
Absolutely. Next would be my cousin. Like I said, my first cousin. That's when I go home. That's who I stay with. That's like, she's one of those people, like she would be my chief of staff. Like she's a bulldog. Like she's going to let me know where I'm bullshitting at. She's going to make sure everything is in line, and she's not going to take any shit. And she's been knowing me for longer than anybody else in my life. So she's going to be able to get the things that, like, when I need to say no, like what you said, when I need to say no, she's going to be able to say no, like, no, you're not doing that. Like, I don't like, yeah, it sounds cool, but no, you're not doing that. This is what we're doing because this is what the business plan says and whatever it may be. So that would be like Dro, you, my cousin, Mo, of course. Mo is one of the people in my life. Like Mo challenges my thought process.
100%.
Like me and Mo don't think of like, I don't think at all. Like, and that's not I ain't being negative when I say that. I'm saying that like Mo expands my thought process. And I need people like that around me to be like, nah, bro, you looking at it like this because you're this person, but I see it a totally different way, and I'm not scared to say it because I'm this person. So that would 100% be it. My guy Scoops, and the reason that I say that is because he's going to be the person that could be like, he'll have a softer touch to my cousin that I'm speaking of. Like he will be the person that knows me and be like, hey, bro, I know these bitches over here, we want to go to Vegas, but like they're like, yeah, we can do that, but let's figure out how to do that and get the business done as well. Like I respect his discipline and you know how he's able to. We have conversations like I told this story. I don't know if I told this story or not, but very early on in Another Week in the Books, when me and Mo were figuring each other out like you and I are now.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're about to say.
I couldn't, I didn't know if it would work. I didn't know. And one of the key conversations that I had was with my guy Scoops, and he was like, bro, I know you. Like, I've been knowing you since we were 12, 13 years old. Like, I get what you're saying, but bro, you're in a place where you have this opportunity to get another perspective, and you should appreciate that versus running away from it. And that was one of the most, like, Scoops plays one of the most pivotal roles in Another Week in the Books history, because I was ready to be like, you know what, fuck this shit. Like, we'll just do the Good Earners podcast, and I ain't even got to go through this shit with homework, and I don't giving a fuck if a nigga listen. I don't care about none of that. Yeah. But he was like, nah, bro, this is a great opportunity for you to be able to do that. So he would definitely have to be around.
Shout out to Scoops, man.
Absolutely, man. Like I love my brother. So Scoops, Dro, you, my cousin Caladre, J-Hove will have to be somewhere involved, just from even a talent standpoint. He's tapped in, and he's tapped in the sense of I like to listen to, because he pays a lot more attention to fashion and things that I could give a fuck less about, and he's always tapped into those things. So I feel like that would be a line, and it's like you said, Rich. These would be people in a position where, like, I'm not paying them and they're not screwed. Like they're in the head of their positions and they putting people to work or whatever it may be. Exactly. Because we're speaking of the best case scenario. So J-Hove definitely, and Big Jeff. Like Big Jeff, in my opinion, there's not too much that I could say. Like I don't even have the words to say, because like Big Jeff would text me out of the blue about shit that I did that I didn't think nobody that I knew listened to. Like Big Jeff listened to everything that I do. Like he's been listening to On Deck since we had 3 or 4 listeners on the first episode.
That's like Donovan for me, man. I shouted out D Hall the Thankful episode. Just always, always. Don't have to ask him. That's just what he wants to do, because he enjoys it.
Like before Big Jeff got on the Full Sport podcast with Jay and those guys, they were doing it. They were looking for a host. And I was such a fan of, like, I was flying the flag. And I'm like, bro, now y'all need to put him on there. Like, this is the guy you need. And not even just because, like, I think he's talented and he has great takes, but just because he believed in me so much and listened to everything that we did. Like, every time he would have a comment, I wouldn't even think he's listening. He would comment on something that we was doing on Dead End Sports, and I didn't even think that he was listening. He would comment on Snow School, and I didn't even think that he was listening. And just by him showing that commitment and being like, no, this is my guy, I fuck with him. I wanted to be the same way. So like when they were trying to find a new host for Frames Per Second, I was like, oh, excuse me, Full Sport Press, I was like, now y'all gotta go with Jeff. I don't even care what the chemistry is like this. Y'all have to do this just because he's this tapped into what we're doing and what we were trying to build with Realville Media back in the day. So Big Jeff would have to be around. Like that, like I love that is like I can't even explain enough how much I fuck with Big Jeff for what like the time that he's put in to what I've been doing. Like I appreciate it. I want him to know if he's listening. And the last one would be the cameraman for FSP. His name is Paham. He's such an abstract dude, man, and like he one of the dudes in the group chat. We were like, bro, what the fuck are you talking about? But you need those type of people around like because they stretch your thought process and they help you like see what like, okay, well, I guess there are like a percentage of people out there thinking like you think, so maybe we could cater to that. But he does it in a genuine fashion. I don't think that he's being any type of way when he is that in the group chats or whatever it may be, but he would definitely have to be around as well. So those would be the people that would have to be around for me with like I got the bag from Spotify, whatever it may be, and you can pay people salaries and they can quit their jobs. Those are the first people that I would go to.
Nah, I love that, man. I love that. And one last thing, and I'm sure you'll agree, when it comes to those people, at least for me, those are all people I can trust.
Exactly.
Those are all people that's gonna keep things in house. Like there's never be any leaks. Never be any leaks.
Yes, man. It ain't gonna be exactly.
Or if something happened, like there is a disagreement, you ain't gonna hear like, oh, there's rumblings inside this. Like, nah, bro, it's just whatever. We all gonna be adults, professional, and we care about each other on some like this fam type shit. So, absolutely, that's great. I want to go ahead. What you about to say?
I was just gonna say sidebar. This feels so good to do because again, like the exercise, it helps you like. Now you're looking at this stuff and you're like, okay, how do I make it happen? Like once you talk it out and you have these conversations, it gives you extra, for me at least, it gives you extra motivation to be like, damn, I want to make this happen.
You already know I'm in my head already. I got an outline of an episode that we're gonna do at the top of the year for piggyback off this and have a deeper one. Speaking of which, we're gonna get out of here soon, but we have to circle back to something you were saying earlier because you can't have best case scenario as you see the episode title, best case scenario of life. Does your best case scenario include a partner, Spike Lou? Does that include a girlfriend? Does that include a wife? Does that include a partner? What does that include? That best case scenario?
It
doesn't.
To be honest, no. I don't see the benefit in it. I don't see like the benefit of having a significant other. Like and I may be wrong. I may meet that person. It's like, oh, okay, damn, I was completely wrong about this. But now, in the position that I'm in, having had the experiences that I've had, like I just don't, and those experiences weren't bad. It's just like I know now. I have more information, and if I'm in these positions that we're explaining right here, Rich, it's like I'm good. I don't want that. I don't want that line over me. Like I would rather just move more freely and not have somebody worried about me or me hurting their feelings because I forgot to do something. Because I was so busy doing these things that we were talking about, or I'm hanging out with these people that we're talking about, and we're trying to make things happen. And they think, okay, well, we should have a date night, or we should be here watching movies, and they don't understand why I don't want to do that at all. Like if I met someone that was totally engaged in this the way that I was, then yeah, it's a possibility. I ain't ruling it out, but I'm not looking for it at all. Like I know this is selfish. I know this is selfish. I'm looking for somebody that's going to be like, well, not even looking for somebody. It would work for me for somebody who was like seeing this and is like, oh, I want to be a part of it. And I want to contribute to that world versus I need you to be dedicated to me.
You sound like it would have to be, the first sentence would be, don't have any expectations out of me.
Yeah, not no relationship.
In a sense of, don't, if you're looking for the picture perfect, whatever this is, like, nah, I'm gonna be around when I'm around, and when I ain't, I ain't.
But I won't make it good. Like
I don't want to feel the need to. I don't want to have to feel like I have to check in. Like it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I have to. Oh, hey, what's up? How your day going?
Exactly. You're right. But my expectation would be if I found that person is of course,
Probably
got
with
their
you.
own shit. They got their own shit going on, or they doing something with me as to where it's beneficial and we checking in mandatory. It's not anything forced. Like if you're a housewife, then be a housewife, and then when we run into each other and when I get home, it's cool and we do our thing. But I don't see any scenario in my life, Rich, where I'm like I'm focusing on a relationship. I don't see any scenario there.
So I'm already.
What about you?
Another idea. No, the best case scenario, there will be someone. There will be a partner.
Another difference between Rich and Lou.
She'll be because that once again, think about it. This is called best case scenario.
Yeah.
Not most likely scenario. Best case. Best case, yeah, of course, because and this is kind of the idea I was gonna say. I very soon, top of 2025, I think we can recircle. I want to have the first two people I'm thinking about is Rachel, and I'm thinking about Phil.
Okay.
Rachel's a lover girl at heart, and Phil is married and has been married, and Phil is a strong believer. There's only one way out of this. They said about that when death do us apart, that's the only way out of this. He always says that. Like, so
I respect that though.
That's the thing. I want to have.
I would marry nobody that didn't think that way.
So here's the thing. Here's what I think will be a great conversation, Spike, for both of us, mainly you as well, because I think you can drive this conversation and you will have some good. You both will have some good back and forth. I think there are things that since we're not married and we don't have to, we see the obligation that it takes, and we're just like, yeah, I'm cool on that. I don't need that. I also don't think we see or feel, maybe because it's something you can't see, you have to feel this. You don't feel what it's like to have that support from a partner that's riding with you every step of the way. And maybe an inside look of that, of like, hey, here's how it looks on this side. It could still, the conversation could still end with like, hey, none of that shit's appealing to me. I don't care. But I do think it will be interesting to see, because I'm sure there's things I don't think about that's like, oh, you know what? That would be dope to have someone here in that moment, or I don't want to be old and alone and none of that. Like I would ideally, but I also know my schedule, my goals, and I know my mindset when it comes to things. I also know I'm very selfish. That school used to tell me all the time, like, bro, you ain't never getting married, bro. You too selfish.
Yeah, people have told me that before too.
Yeah, he said you too selfish.
Another
like you,
thing,
like the amount.
Another thing we have like in common. People like I was told that while in a relationship, like, bro, you're not.
He told me
you're not considerate enough to be in a relationship.
And I don't even know if you got told this way. But he told me right away, like, I don't even mean that in a bad way, bro. Like,
yeah,
I just mean
they weren't trying to diss me or nothing.
Yeah,
like, you're just not considering it enough.
Yeah, what it takes to make a successful relationship, that you don't care enough about that. Yeah. Like it's not high on the priority list for you.
Facts.
And I always like think about that. And I'm like, all right, it's got to be something. We'll figure it. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I would love to have somebody on the conversation with us to maybe talk about that, because it could be something. And this is something Mo's great at.
Yeah, this would have been a great. This part of it would have been a great Mo input.
So we might have it back for part 2 or something like that. Absolutely, man. This was fun though, Spike. Man, this was a lot of fun. I'm glad you brought.
I was going to say this is one of those. Yeah, this is one of the most enjoyable things that we've done. I really liked it. Like,
yeah, because now I'm thinking about it.
Of the conversation that we had, and two in the sense of how do you make that happen.
Yeah, and just to your point, man, that you can't underestimate the power of thinking something versus we just said that out loud. And now that we said it out loud, we put that in existence,
and it's out
now.
Here. People can hold us to this now.
Yeah,
and that's one of the beautiful things about this platform. Is like what we do is like we're not just sitting here, like we are sitting here kicking the shit, but it's also like people can take this, digest this, do the same thing, and say, "Hey, I'm doing it." Like, yeah, I got the inspiration from y'all. Where y'all at with it? I love that. That's one of my favorite things about this. So, like, thank you for being open to doing this, and thank the people out there. Like, send us y'all stuff. Like, I love to hear, like my guy Dro. I love for you to send me your ideal scenarios. All the guys out there that listen on a consistent basis, send me your ideal scenarios. awitb2022@gmail.com, and we can read those if you like to, Rich, or whatever it may be. But yeah, I think this was a good exercise. This is really dope as far as what we do. This is one of the I think this will be one of the staple episodes for the second book.
No, absolutely. I agree with that, man. Thanks for the concept and the idea. Thanks for having me be a part of it with you as always. I never take these moments for granted. And that could be something, honestly, anytime we have somebody on here, I love to have that conversation with them. It's
Facts.
still the same thing. Like what is it? Because I just think that leads to great conversation on top of whatever the main thing is. So
And
yeah,
it makes you think realistically. Like, what am I really doing? And then
yeah.
and in tune of what I'm really doing, like, how am I going to make that happen? I love it. Like, so yeah.
It's a community season, man. A lot of the stuff that I've shared with you, as far as some ideas that I have, it's all about community. And that one of the important things about community is keeping each other accountable. And I think you can't have enough good people in your life that do that. But as always, speaking of holding people accountable, thank you to all of the bookworms out there. You hold us accountable to make sure we're the best version of ourselves. You come back each and every week to listen, to watch on YouTube. We definitely appreciate that. Please be sure to like, subscribe, share, comment. We're looking for all types of engagement. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Word of mouth cannot go far enough. And we will be back next week with chapter 14, moving right along in book 2. Spike Lou, my brother, always an honor. Appreciate you.
Same here.
That being said, awitb2022@gmail.com or Another Week in the Books on Instagram. Reach out to us. We will include you in the episode.
My bad. Thing that I'm proud of this week, there will be a soft launch. Like, Dro been holding me to it. You've been holding me to it. Tomorrow, I want to say between 9 and midnight, I'm going to send out text messages with the link to the hat, Spike hat, the hoodie,
That's what I'm talking about.
All of that will be ready tomorrow. I ain't doing a full on. It's a soft launch. Like, I'm only sending it to people. If you're interested, DM me, DM Another Week in the Books, DM Rich. I am Spike Lou on Instagram or whatever it may be. If you're interested in purchasing one of the hats, the hoodies, the Scullies, it will be available tomorrow night. Held myself to that. So I told Rich birthday week, Dro been on me all week about it. So I will have it ready by tomorrow. Scullies, hoodies, dad hats with Spike on there. And I'm sending them to a select few who I feel like will be responsive to it. I send you the text, you ain't got to buy. If you don't get a text, hey, man, send me a DM on Instagram or whatever it may be if y'all are interested in it. But I'm going to do a really soft launch and send it to people who I feel like are interested before I do a real rollout and do the whole thing that needs to go with that. But there will be a text message and a link that goes out between 9 and 12 tomorrow.
I love it, man. That's a perfect way to end it. Yep. We'll talk about my proud moment next week, man. It don't matter. That's a perfect way to end it. Thank you for sharing that, man. Obviously, accountability is the name of the game. Shout out to Spike Lou. Shout out to all y'all. We'll see you next week for chapter 14. Peace.